Hello everyone, good morning, good evening. Welcome to AZ Cloud Rep. Today we are going to explore modeling in Power BI. In previous session we have seen how to get data for our Power BI. So once we got the data, we need to apply some kind of transformation on top of that, which is normally called a cleansing. Once we cleanse the data, we are ready to load the data to our model. So, modeling is nothing but even if you construct the building strongly, but if you don't put a basement in a correct way, then everything get collapsed. So the same thing will applicable here also. So if you don't model your tables and relationship correctly, even if you build a report in a nice thing, at last it will get collapsed and it will give you a wrong information. So that's where the modeling comes, very very important. So today we are going to explore in detail. So before getting into the modeling part, we should be understanding the some kind of hierarchy in a Power BI. So let's get started. Let me open the whiteboard. So here, so this is where our Power BI desktop. So you know what is Power BI desktop. So it's a kind of a tool where we can develop all reports, dashboard, everything, right? So once we have a Power BI desktop, so under that, the first and foremost thing what we are going to do, we need to get the data, correct? Once we have the data, there are two ways of get the data. We have seen already, correct? So one is using a get data here, and another way is you can click on transformation and directly you can get it from a Power Query editor. So these are the two ways of get the data for your in your Power BI desktop. Okay. So once we have the data, now we are ready to do the data modeling. Data modeling is nothing but you are providing a good relationship between the tables or entity. Okay, either it may be from the same source or it may be either from the different source. So once we have the data, you need to provide a relationship between those tables. So that's a data modeling. If you're not providing the relationship in a correct way, you may end up with the wrong data in your report. Okay, so basically so data model acts as a base for your report. Okay, so in your report, under the report we may have a number of report pages. So we have seen already, so we can able to create a number of pages under a report, right? And also under each page we have a n number of visuals and n number of static elements, which is nothing but under each page you may design a n number of visuals, and n number of static elements. Static element is nothing but you can insert a box, or you can insert a text box, you can insert shapes, and all those are all the static elements, right? And you may have the static element and report visuals, and a report also can have a bookmarks. So this is all about the report. So if you see here, a data model is a base for your report. So that's where the data model have their importance. So if you come one step below, so like if you see that data model relies on the data source, correct? So how we are getting the data, one we need to get the data, then only we can able to model our data, correct? So there are two ways, as I said. One is I have shown you, you can use a get data. Here I'll go here, you can use a get data. So this is or and also you can go to a transform data, and you can also get directly from here. Okay, so this is a one way of getting the data. So what data? So what is mean by data, right? So in Power BI, data is consist of a 2D model, okay, two-dimensional model. It's a tabular model. It's a rows and columns. Okay, so in probably once we have a rows and columns or a tabular model, so we can able to populate a relationship between the tables. So that is the using a get data is a one way, and another way is, so we can able to use a calculated table. So calculated table is nothing but we are going to write our own expression by using a DAX. So what is DAX? DAX is a data analysis expression language where we it is a set of library. Okay, it is a library, basically contains a set of functions and operators. So by using the DAX expression, we can build our own table that we call as a calculated table. So the good example for a calculated table is a date table. So basically we so probably if you go in a practical scenario anywhere, they may have a date table separately. So that date table will be built on top of, by using the DAX expression. So that is a so basically two the table, it is a table, and it is like a other table, and we can also provide a relationship for this table also. Okay, it is basically it's come under the table, but under a table, either one type is we can extract from the outside source, and another one is we can build our own table by using the DAX. So that's the difference. So once we have this table, either it is a calculated table or it is a normal table. So under a table, what we have a columns, obviously, right? So if you take a column also, we do have a two types. Like one is normal columns, like once you extracted the table from the outside source. For others, so for so no, for external source, you may have a rows and columns. So and also in a Power Query editor, by using a Power Query editor, I can also able to add a calculated columns here. I can able to add, the custom column. Okay, these are all the possible through by a Power Query editor. So that's where this is the same type. Like if I want to build a calculated column, if I want to add a calculated column, again I have to use a DAX. So everywhere I need to use a DAX to build a calculated columns, or either it may be a calculated tables, anything. Okay, so I have a column now. So coming here, the next type is, so inside a column. Okay, so for a column, I may have a hierarchy. Okay, like hierarchy in the sense, suppose if you take a date column. Okay, and for a date column, I may have a hierarchy. Hierarchy is nothing but the nested levels. Okay, under a date column, if you take, I may have a quarter, I may have a month, I may have a date. So this is a hierarchy, right? Under a one quarter, if you take a quarter one, it is a Jan, Feb, and March three. So 3 months. Under a 3 months, I may have a lot of dates, right? So this is a hierarchy. We can able to build a hierarchy on top of a column. But the restriction here is we should, if you want to build a hierarchy, the data should be in the same table. Okay, that is a restriction here. So okay, we have a column here, and now we are ready to build a relationship. Now we have a table, we have a column. Now we are in a place of building a relationship between the tables. So relationship is nothing but like if you have a two table, table A and table B, if you want to provide a relationship between these two table, you should have one common column. Okay, like by using a key column, you can able to provide a relationship between these two tables. Okay, so that's where the relationship comes on. Suppose it's a kind of, if you come from a background of DBMS, you can consider it's a primary key and foreign key. Okay, so how the tables are related in DBMS, it's the same type here. Okay, no, okay, it's not different here. It's the same type of relationship here. Okay, and so we have a column, and also we have a relationship. Okay, and coming to a measure. So once we have a table, columns, and relationship, if I want to add any summarization to my table, okay, so if summarization on top of our data, I can use measure. Measure is nothing but a small formula. By using the DAX, I can write my formula, and I can arrive a data at each row level. Okay, so that is a measure. Okay, so if you come from the SSAS, if you know the SSAS, like MDX, it's the same kind of thing. So basically it's a formula, okay, of summarization, like a min, max, count, average, like a kind of thing. Okay, and once we have all this, okay, provided a relationship, I have a measure, I have a calculated tables, and once we have all this, another thing I do have here is a row level security. and also roles. Okay, so basically if you take a simple example, in my company I have a sales team, I have HR team, I have a product team. So I want, so both three teams are using the same data set, but I want here to restrict the sales team should see only the particular sales data alone, and from a particular region. If I want to restrict a product team to see a particular region and a particular product, if I want to restrict the HR data, HR team to see the particular HR related things, means I need to define a role inside a Power BI, and I need to give a row level security over there. So the row level security, how we need to give a row level security by using a same kind of formula. Using, we can write our own expression by using the dax, and we can assign it. So this is where the whole things, the whole picture of a Power BI desktop. Okay, the whole picture we are going to do in a Power BI desktop. So the thing is very simple. First you need to get the data, then you need to transform it, and then you need to model the data, and then you need to define the row level security, and then at last you can publish the report. Okay, so next, so I hope it is clear. Next, what we can do. Next we will come to a modeling. So so far we have seen the overall picture, okay, of a Power BI. So now what we are going to do, we are going to pick a modeling alone. We are going to see the importance of modeling. So what all the things we can do inside a modeling. So first and foremost thing, I hope you hear the term star schema. Okay, star schema is nothing but maybe before going to a star schema, you should aware of the dimension table and fact table. So if you take a SSAS, okay, it's a traditional way of analysis service. It's a kind of a data warehousing concept. If you know the data warehousing concept, then of course you should hear these terms. So fact table is nothing but a summarization or a measure. It's a numerical value. Okay, so you have a table, both are table only, but the difference is fact table contains the all numerical data. So I'm you consider all numerical data. You can have all facts inside the fact table, like how much sales I have made in a previous year, how much sales I have made in a previous week, how much sales I have made in the year over year. So like a kind of facts I'm going to have in my fact table, all or numerical data summarization. Okay, but coming to a dimension table. So dimension table is going to have all business entities. Entities is nothing but like a if I suppose take a good example. Okay, I'm selling a product. Okay, laptop. I'm selling a product as a laptop. So laptop contains a lot of attributes. Okay, it contains what kind of model it is, it can how much RAM, the CPU, and like what technology I've used it, right, and how much core I'm having, and what is the size of my monitor, right, and what is the size of my laptop, and what is the weight, right. These and all comes under as an attribute in a for my laptop. So these details will be resides inside the like a dimension table. So coming to a fact table, if I'm selling a laptop for this much price, okay, I sold a laptop, 10 laptops of for like 1,000 rupees. Okay, in today to maybe yesterday I have sold 9 laptops of 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees. Okay, it might differ, but the number of laptops I sold is a numerical data. I'm going to show in a fact table. The how much quantity is equal to the number, right, and how much price I have sent it, the total price. Okay, and the currency format, whether it is dollar or a rupee. Okay, so these are all the things, like important numerical things, right. Like these and all will be storing inside a fact table. So how I can relate a fact table with the dimension table, right? In my scenario, a product is my laptop. I have one unique ID against for each product. Okay, for a laptop of this size, I have a unique ID one. For a laptop of this size, I have a unique ID two. So I have a product ID in my both dimension and fact table. So by using this product ID, I can able to provide a relationship between this dimension and fact table. So this is the relationship. Okay, if you want to establish a relationship, if you want to establish a relationship, then of course you should be having a one common column in the dimension and the fact table. And coming to a star schema, star schema is nothing but centrally we do have only one fact table which will be connected with the multiple dimension table. Okay, suppose I will explain you, like you have a one fact table. Suppose centrally we have one fact table which contain all facts and related attributes. Okay, fact related attributes will be sitting in each separate dimension. So date is a dimension table, and product name is dimension table, and region is a dimension table, and these kind of. But the fact table is of how much product I have sold it, how much quantity I have sold it, and what is the price of the total price of the product. So these all the things will come, right? So that's where the that is called a star schema, one fact table and multiple dimension table. Okay, there are different kind of schema available. Okay, like snowflake schema, different schema is available, but power bi is mostly like will be taking up the star schema. Okay, so if you have if you take up the star schema, we will arrive at a good kind of data. Okay, that's a suggestion. Okay, so basically, like I hope we understood what is fact table, we understood what is dimension, and we understood what is star schema. And coming to a row level security, as I said, row level security is also an important thing whenever you are coming to a practical scenario. So everyone should not have every access on row level security, correct? So we need to restrict our data, we need to restrict the rows. Okay, we should provide whatever. So it's a kind of authorization we are doing in power bi. I hope you know what is authorization, right? So kind of so this data will be visible to this person only, this kind of data will be visible to this person only. So if we want to implement this kind of strategy, of course, row level security will help us. So coming to analytical query, you may be thinking of, right? So once we get the data, so once we put the visualization, I will be getting the data, correct? I'm not writing any query, okay, for getting the data, right? In a visualization, suppose you take Power BI desktop, okay, Power BI desktop, and if you put a visualize, if you loaded the data, it will come here. Once we have the data, if you put the data and if you map the fields, you will get the visualization according to the data, correct? How it is working behind the scene, we should be understandable, right? So we should understand how it is working, right? So once we drag and drop the visualization, okay, and if you provided the the fields from the data, it will automatically gives you the nice visualization and nice information through the reports, right? In the report. So behind the scene, what is happening here is um, it is converting into a query. Okay, everything is converted into a native query. Okay, so native query, and it is requesting to a data model for a result set. So if you drag and drop the visualization, if you put the field, so behind the scene, what is happening, it framing the query, which is called analytical query. So it will requesting the data model, give the result set for this query, and it will once we get the result set, it will show you in a visualization. So so basically three things happening here. One is filter, the next thing is group and summarize. So these things happening behind the screen, behind the scene. Okay, so this is where the data model should be appropriate, because whenever you are doing anything from a report, it again requesting to the data model, and it will fetch you the result and give it to you. So three things will happen in between. One is filter, it will filter out, it will group it, and will summarize it. So filter and group, as you know, it's a slicing and dicing. Slicing is nothing but you are cutting down the data, you are seeing you are filtering the data. Group is nothing but you are grouping group A, group B, group C, sales, HR team, product team. Likewise, you are grouping it and you are applying a filter on top of that. And summarize is nothing but overall summarize the grand total, or if you want to see the total, okay, count. So okay, like a kind of summarize, we can do that. Okay, like it'll be doing, okay. So that's where the analytical query comes in, okay. So once the analytical, the native query, it will do like Power BI automatically does this part for you whenever you drag and drop and do anything, okay. And next come the Power BI data set. So the filter, group and summarize and all we will be seeing in practical way, okay. Whenever we are uh, covered this theoretical session and going to a practical session, I'll be showing how the filter will happen. Filter will happen at different level. It will happen at a page level, it will happen at a report level, it will happen at a visualization level. Filter will happen at different level. When I come show you in a practical way, that's where you will get a better understanding. So now, coming to a Power BI data set. So what is data set? So as I said, data set is a assert, right? So what is Power BI data set? So nothing but like suppose you have a Power BI desktop. You have modeled your modeling, like okay, you got the data, you are modeling it, and finally you are going to publish to a Power BI service. So this is where the once you publish it to the like a Power BI service, that's where it converting the model into a data set. It's in a Power BI desktop, you're calling as a model. If when you publish to the Power BI service, it is calling as a Power BI dataset. Okay. So next thing, the table storage mode. This is a very important topic. Table storage mode. Okay. So when you get the data, you can think of, okay. So how I will address whenever any data is deleted. How I will get the latest data. How I will get the updated data. So how many yeah, at which frequency, what I need to do when I want to get the refreshed data, right? So these are all questions you will have, right, when you design a report and you're going to publish it. So this is where the things, the import direct query and dwell comes into a picture. So there are three types of storage mode we have today. One is import, direct query, and dwell. Import is nothing but, I will show you. Import is nothing but you are importing directly from the external sources, and you are saving the data into a cache, Power BI cache, okay, or it is in a storage, like kind of, so it will store the data, actual data, okay. It so basically you are bringing the data into a Power BI desktop. Okay, we bringing the actual data, that is called the import model. Okay, so if you see the diagram, you can clearly understood. So we can able to import from any type of sources. Okay, we are bringing the actual data. And what is the direct query model? So direct query model is nothing but you are not bringing any data into a Power BI. Okay, you are just provide a connection to our sources, and you are referring, okay. You are not bringing any data, you are just referring the data by providing through by a direct query connection, okay. And when come to a third thing is a composite model. Composite model is nothing but is a combination of a direct query and also a combination and also a import mode. So if you combine these two types, so it becomes a composite model. Okay, there are a lot of advantage and disadvantage of all the modules, import, direct query, all the modules. Let me give you a short and crispy example. Import model. When we say an import model, the biggest advantage is you have your data. Okay, so you can able to see the data as of the time which you have extracted. Okay, and second thing is like a lot transformation. You can apply a lot of transformation when you are using an import model. Okay, but the drawback here is when you think of on refresh, how you will get the refreshed data, right? How you will get the refreshed data, right? So whenever any data got updated in a source, okay, whenever any data got updated in any of the sources, you need to get the latest data, right? So that's where the import model, a little bit have kind of disadvantage. So but we can able to see the latest data, but we need to do one more step, like kind of we need to schedule a refresh. There are two kind of refresh in the import mode. One is scheduled to refresh, another one is on demand refresh. The scheduled to refresh, you need to configure at which frequency you can able to schedule it, but and also it will be restricted depending upon the capacity, and also basically a tire which you are picking up. Okay, if you are in a premium tire, you may have a 48 refresh per day. If you have a lowest tire, no capacity, depending upon the capacity you are picking it, you may have restricted with eight refresh per day. Okay, this kind of limitation is there when depending upon the capacity. Okay, so this is where we are lacking in the import model, and also there is some kind of restriction here is that total the size of a model should not grow beyond the 1 GB. Okay, I'm saying the model size. Okay, I'm not saying the data size, I'm saying the model size. It should not go beyond the 1 GB. Okay, and also for a premium layer it may be 8 GB. Okay, and the in the import model, the thing which we need to rethink twice or thrice before configuring this table storage here is, whenever you are picking the import model, you should not refresh all the tables all the time. You should refresh only the table which you are going to use. Okay, you can bring the data, but you want, if you're not using it, if you don't want to refresh the particular table or a particular query, you need to avoid that one. There is an option available inside a Power Query, so I can show you that one. So because every time if you refresh the data, what it will do, Power BI, it will again populate a connection to a source. It will bring all the data. It will refresh once again our data model for all the tables, and it will get the latest data. So this process will take time. Okay, so that's where the drawback of import model. And direct query model is simple. We are not bringing any data all the time. We are getting the latest data. Okay, but the restriction here is some kind of transformation is not applicable in direct query model, like a kind of pivot. We cannot able to do a pivot and unpivot when you are using the direct query model. So some kind of transformation we cannot able to do it. Okay, and the thing here is, the nicer thing here is, you need not to do any refresh. Okay, all the time it is, we will get a near real time data. So that's a beauty of a direct query model. And coming to a composite model, as I explained to you, it's a combination of both. And import, certain resources will be an import, and certain resources will be a direct query. You can able to combine these two. And coming to a import model, so basically, whenever you are importing anything, like it should be a group of things from a one source system. Okay, one source system in the sense, if I'm connecting to a SQL database, it is a one group. Okay, if I'm connecting to a different source system, it is in another group. It's a group of system. Okay, but in import composite model, we can able to combine a different group of systems. Okay, that's the beauty of a composite model. And also there is a one specialized model is available. It's not specialized model in the sense, like it's nothing like, but suppose I'm having a one model. Okay, uh, so it's a model to model connection, or a model to model relationship. Okay, so far we have seen a table to table relationship, right? So that is where modeling comes in. So the one specialized model is nothing but like specialized model in the sense, like I'm providing a relationship between the model to model, not a table to table, model to model. Okay, so that's a specialized model. We will be seeing that. And when to use a import, as I said, before modeling it, before choosing the correct type of storage, you should be very cautious, like which type of storage you are going to use it. Okay, and one more important thing here is, it is always possible to convert from direct query to a import mode. But when you pick the import mode, okay, you cannot able to convert into a direct query. That's a thing you should be aware of before uh, going into table storage mode. Okay, so you can pick a import, so you can pick a direct query. Okay, but later you can change it to import mode. That won't create any problem. But if you pick the import mode at initial level, you cannot able to change into a direct query mode. So that is all about the modeling. I hope modeling is very clear. So these are all the some concepts we should be aware before getting into a Power BI actual things. Designing the reports. You will get some kind of questions without knowing these things. If you started designing the reports, you may end up with the questions. What is calculated table? What is measure? What is calculated columns? What is data hierarchy? So